I've titled this Untitled Bonus Track, so it keep me because while the last section wrapped up my story, there are people who are involved in my story that deserve to be named. The people who kept me and keep me, who comprise what love is for me. Um, that and there really is no story if not for these people. So this is a section in dedication, and then the final section of My Daddy Never Taught Me How to Write a Love Song. So, Danica, I got something to say about Danica, and I'm gonna catch hell for using her first name. She split my behind in two if she knew I'd ever be so audacious. But no, 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 Danica ain't one for hitting. She just look at your ways, and I know where to park all my wrongdoing with the rest of my back talk. I got something to say about Danica, who wanted to be a journalist, reporting from the same kitchen table Carrie Mae Weems caught herself taking pictures of in front of my mother's mirror. But then Polaroid is the only way I knew Mama had a name. I got something to say about Danica, who didn't find her looks till she was about 18, with dreams stirred up from Maya Angelou notes about Southern girls with bifocals and Bibles, hair rollers, religion, and a penchant for questions. Good questions about Black men, good questions about Black fathers. And that's her story to tell. I got something to say about Danica and big body beamers, master's degrees, fine dining in the bourgeoisie, black card, the birthdays in Rome and engagements in Paris. But don't get it twisted. She'll fuck you up in country grammar. I got something to say about Danica, and don't none of them start with grandma because Mimi fit her cool. I got something to say about Danica, and I wonder how many incisions are in a C-section. Were any of your midwives Black women? Did I take too much? Did I cost the 12-year-old who resides in your dreams deferred her Pulitzer or her cross-country cassette recordings or tattoos of butterflies to replace the name of some boy who might have come after Donnie Ray if Donnie Jr. didn't come playing in your blood to build a home? I got something to say about Danica. She has never been wrong, especially when she say day by day, by and by, levying bayous and helpless boys in that women's yesteryear that know something about my mama's secrets, which thank God she gets to keep. I got something to say about Danica, but her mama always say, be human with me. So I set it on fire. And then this word here is I love you in Swahili. Um, brother to brother, for cast, for the niggas who keep me. I can't remember how we met, but I don't think that matters too much. Brother, you're here now, and sometimes I think of the questions I never asked you. I know your top five Wayne joints, but who do you think gonna bury who first? And I know you don't know, and I know you don't do that death talk, but we 30 now, 30 something, and X gone, Doom gone, Guru, Heavy, Fife, and some of them cats were before our time, but I don't think it was their mamas that carried the caskets. So I'm asking the question. You're right. Always said if I go first, take my hat. If I always said if I go first, take half my ashes down by, look at me giving away all my secrets. And brother, this ain't no death poem. I just had a dream about you. And what color does a black man show up as when you close your eyes? Well, in this one, you had an orange juice complexion. I'd say OJ, but he don't keep niggas around but for so long. Like that one dude we both and back when, and I had a white Bronco joke, but let me come back around to this dream I had. You were sitting under this dinner table, your heart and your wedding finger on a scale. You were two incisions deep into your liver before I reminded you this ain't gonna get her back. Because boy, don't we know how to pick 'em. And you like to remind me that in those days we could barely afford dinner, let alone furniture for my allegories. But brother, if that IKEA futon could talk, and look at me giving away all my secrets, when really that's all we got. That and Essex Hempfield and Marlon Riggs and Bill Gunn. All my heroes are dead, so when I go, I'm gonna leave you that manuscript I've been telling you about. The one about Joe Gans and Mike Tyson and the Scythe and the Rose. And if it sells for anything, use that money to buy my daughter a ticket to where I said bury the rest of me. I expect you by her side, and brother, I promise this ain't no death poem. No, I wrote that one the night I asked you to hold my body and not let go. That night you see me walk into a bedroom in love in Minnesota, and then you see me walk out a single father in Texas. No, this ain't no death poem. This is just all I got. These words I write when I wake up with my niggas on my mind. And I know how they cut up ganja and Hess. Stop, still ain't come out. So make sure they do right by my work. And you drink some water today. Eat. Curse if you haven't. Call your mama. Write a letter to your daddy. Sleep. Get some good sleep. I started writing another passage about passing, but I'm just going to say thank you for loving me. And my favorite color is pink, if you've ever wondered. Uh, Before we continue, I'm going to take a very brief intermission. A very, very brief intermission.
In your arms, oh, if your arms would invite me, oh, we could change the whole story of love. Same old play, I'm getting tired of no more acting these predictable roles. Just doesn't leave it unconditional love. We could change the whole story of love. Same old play, I'm getting tired of no more.
And I am back. All right. So, so we are almost wrapped up here. A few more poems. And yeah, so next piece, Tituba. I guess it's time to write this poem about women. I recorded the first draft on my phone, walking along some train tracks, gravel in my socks, and in the forest on the other side of the world, I hear a song. A songstress holds the birds in their patience, no migration, and I ran away. Tituba was just a medicine woman, but still, I ran away. But still, I ran all the way home. And in my writing desk, I stored trinkets stolen from the pocketbooks of past lovers, a tired Bible, an ink pen, and some waste beads, an Eiffel Tower bent at the head, some old dry paint, and I give them to the boys on my block as a reminder that if you break it, it's yours, or at least drape the larvae cocoon over your head like a Vesper necklace. And I just be running my mouth, I guess. Niggas do talk a lot. Clarence Thomas, Joe Biden, Samuel Alito, Eldridge Cleaver, Kevin Samuels, and Chester Himes never did know how to write a woman. Well, I guess I don't know. Baldwin sermon notes and it say witness. What does it mean to witness when you're holding the hammer and the nail, the camera and the violence? Have I been the bystander throwing soot in the ring? And I don't take the blame, but the punishment mask fits well. And so does the spiked suit that keeps the answers away. Question, or more of a joke. How does the genocidaire pull his punches? He shoots last. And God became a gender because Jackie Wilson and James Brown's cock sweat was anointed. And this isn't a poem about women. Shit, it's never really a poem about women, is it? Two, this is a poem about bodies and guilt and every murder mystery and every missing sex worker. This isn't a poem about women. Too many poems about women that ain't to do, too many poems about women that ain't to do with women from brothers who don't ask enough questions about women. Like Giovanni said, who can get on with Huey Newton anyway? So I just wanted to say thank you to the single mothers who taught me how to be a single father. And I think I'll stop here for now. My daughter is old enough to tell me if I done good. Maybe we'll give this another go. Eska wrote the perfect album for the brothers I love first. I used to love to swing. I'd go as high as it might take for me to launch myself, but never approach the peak. I just love the suspense. My heart tumbling into my belly, the sensation right before fear. I gorged on it. Weird, but kids are into weird shit. I know firsthand. My little girl drank more bathwater than tap. Speaking of, she demanded I swing with her at the park, which is the only reason I'm bringing this up. And let me tell you, only she can summon that 9-year-old I left weeping at the border of Prince George's County in yesterday. Sometime before Texas, somewhere before agnostic, well before her, before I knew it, I was counting the swings until I was a hair below the peak. tickled pink and hollering right along with her as we passed one another, back and forth, now and then, a pendulum kick between, and I often wonder what happened to all my friends. So many names I can't remember, but their $3 Happy Meal smiles and tasteless jokes belong to my melancholy. Those brown boys who tackle too hard and cry too little, those terrible dancers and Dragon Ball Z fanatics. I sometimes wonder what happened to my friends. I just turned 30 and I wonder if they ever aged after we said goodbye or said nothing at all when I moved away. Or moved on from what we were and where we are now as I finally understand why my granddaddy stares into the skyline that splits the trees and everlasting. When the horizon is honey gold and the sky is both pink and delicious past the green, I finally understand memory. And then my daughter is up and at it again. She hurries to the rock climbing wall, which has the imprints of fossils sketched all over the cheap plastic. A quarter step to the top as she launches herself too far for me to catch, and it's a race to the soccer field, where if you dig deep enough, you'd find the cheers of parents who never thought their little one had it in them to score that goal those years before it became an expectation. And then they're riding shotgun without a booster seat and scholarships. And why are you asking me about applying for Obamacare when just last quarter you scored your first? Esco was right. I think all we can be is remembered. And I miss my friends. My little girl runs into my hip and screams something in 4-year-old angst, and that's my cue to lay down the romance of time and death. And I do hope those brothers are healthy. Wherever and whoever uses those names I can't remember in prayer, I hope they know I love their children first. Whereas mine whines about the ice cream she was promised before I lost hours whistling. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday, the chopped and screwed version. Granddaddy would still be proud. She asked what flavor I'm going to get. Cookies and cream has always been my favorite. That I'll never forget. Belongs to. There are times when I wrestle daddy and I think of you. How tall are you going to be? Are you taller than me? Do you smell like him? The keloid on his chest? Is there one nestled up in chest hairs like his? Are you bald and do you like waffle crisp? I like waffle crisp. In Spyro and Mortal Kombat, and mommy might have an opinion, but me and her have Bambi and the Chronicles of Narnia and that little cassette player. Do you still have that? The red one. The one for bedtime stories and quiet time with just mommy and I. Do you have a girlfriend? Are you still scared to talk to girls? Do you still see angels? Or what about race cars? There are times I play fight with my daughter and I think of you, how much we never grew, and the seeds sown to love the legs that carry us. How much of our father's child we are in our low hanging eyelids and the keloid that matches like wedding rings. And I do like waffle crisp, but they discontinued it. And I do play video games, and no, mama doesn't have much of an opinion on it. But what I will say is that the cassette player is a relic we go to bed with in our happy place. When talking to angels became major depression. And I did have a girlfriend, quite a few. And I swear to God, I wish I could protect you from that heartbreak. And racing cars became a sin when daddy tried suicide for the fourth or fifth time. Wrapped that car around a light pole, and I tried to tell him it don't look so good on him, especially with all the stitches, but he didn't believe me and tried it again, just like you will. There are times when I'm sad and I think of you. I think you must be an astronaut, lawyer, cop, scientist with big muscles, and I think of you when I don't want to be here. When I try to disappear in my school desk and draw myself in the fantasies I imagine have to be better than in the skin. I think of you when mommy and daddy are arguing again, and now we're moving again, and I don't want new friends. Do you still pray after you touch yourself? Did God ever punish you? There are times I'm sad and I can't remember you. I can't remember which 7-Eleven Slurpees gave us brain freeze the fastest, and why that sculpture, the awakening, right, it still grips onto our death anxiety. That said, it didn't. Be- that said, I didn't become a cop, and I'm glad you lost interest in the military. But a scientist is one way to describe where in the stars I mapped a reason to return to where it all began. Those minutes with Mama fighting the urge to color out those minutes with Mama fighting the urge to color outside of the lines when all we do now is break the rules and tell the truth how it was braided in locks, left under stones, and charted in gospel by the folks who held you in those hard times then as they do now. And they not called angels or anxiety. They're called ancestors. And mommy and daddy gonna get it right. At least mommy will. And you will. Even when you want to disappear. Sometimes the only thing to do is quiet. By 18, God is a bull tempted by its own cock and balls when red ain't enough. By 30, God is the serenity in a drop of faucet water. Either way, they ain't got no worry over our dick. There are times we don't get along. When your romanticism of love unseen, but imagining boyhood dreams of girls who didn't ask to be more than just children entraps my vision of what it takes to earn I love you. There are times we don't get along when the anger you ensnare barks in my attempts to touch you right. There are times when we wish mama would save us. There are times when time draws the blinds closed in this room and I can't see you. There are times when holding on to you is walking across hot stones, when clearing the plains of where we've stumbled reveals the gravestones of dampened hearts and great expectations. There are times we overthink. There are times we overshare. There are times you cry too much. There are times you should speak up. There are times when my daughter asks why I slow dance with myself. And I tell her, baby girl, daddy can't believe he forgot this song. And then we've arrived at the last piece, paper making instructions for inheritance. Step one, tear into tiny pieces the journal pages where I drafted your middle name. I landed on Ekondeo and it slid onto your first name like a wedding band. Ekondeo, pleasure from sorrow. Step two, submerge your name into a bowl of water clean enough for a baptism. Step three, after soaking, place every journal entry about the mythology of sugar at your mama's bedside into a blender and blend the mixture into a pulpy porridge of ghost stories and grace. Step four, fill the tub where I bathed you first with cleaner water. It is a holy sight after all. Step five, lower the pulp into the water and stir until my daddy and Donnie become indistinguishable. Step six, use a screen, preferably from the window pane where we used to watch the snowfall, to lower into the water, raising it like our midwife lifted you onto your mama's breast. Note, the pulp should consume the entire surface like the disciples arranged in the Last Supper, i.e., the picture of the black nurses covering your mother while you nursed for the first time. Step seven, place the screen on top of a woven towel and use another to remove any excess water. Note, arrange Japanese flower lilies on top of the words so that you might remember that passing days is welcoming new grief. Step eight, gently flip the screen over and begin to peel away the paper onto the towel below. Let it dry. It is done. My confessions have been made into a birth canal for your secrets. Let these new pages keep until your children's whispers create heat, create pressure, a need for confession. Step nine, repeat. And that is my daddy never taught me how to write a love song. Thank you all for witnessing. That's what I'll say. Thank you all for witnessing. And after that, is there any reflections, comments? Yeah, they're welcome. They're welcome.
Yes. Whew. It was just well, can I tell you my last thought? So my last thought is, I'm listening to this collection and I'm thinking about the patriarchy and I'm thinking about how if as a woman I would say certain things, the labels I would get, the backlash that I would get, the things that people would say, and how there's such a freedom in the patriarchy that we don't have because of course, most of the literary stuff have been written by men, white men more specifically, and how women, we're coming in trying to make an imprint for ourselves. And to hear something so honest and visceral, especially around suicide attempts and the darkness and depression that leads one to suicide and coming out of that and being a single father and raising a daughter. And also a part of it where I think that I applaud you for, I don't think men talk about it enough, and that is men being friends with each other. I watch my son with his friends, and I mean, it's I love you. He hangs up with them. I love you, dude. I love you. He and it took his friends some time to embrace the level of love my son wanted to show as a heterosexual man, that I don't want to pretend because we're men we can't love each other. You my bro, you my boy, you my. And so you just did such a magnificent job, I feel like, in just kind of going across the emotional landscape of some very tender subjects, some very honest subjects, because at the end of the day, life is relationships, right? It's who you in relationship with. And whether those relationships are romantic or friendships or your mother, your daddy, your sister, your brother, whomever. And you just did a great job in just tapping into that. And then so let me also just add about I didn't want to speak during the sections. I wanted to hear it as a whole collection. So that's why I only put stuff in the comments, the chat rather, as you were going through, because I wanted to kind of hear in totality before I spoke. So I want to talk about the language too. The poet with the pen having the ability to distill language in a way to tap into us emotionally, to be able to feel, to see, to envision, to see the imagery there, to wield the pen in such a way that we can hear the verse, we can hear the rhythm in it, we can hear the movement in it, and we can hear the punctuations in it, the places where the line. And I think it was neat that you showed the poems too, to see the end rhymes and the choices that you made in crafting it, because those are choices too. End rhyme, where does the enjambment take place, and why do you decide to start on this line with this word and all that. So I even appreciate that, you showing us how the words live on the page, not just hearing it from your voice, but how the words live on the page. So, um, bravo.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm a bit overwhelmed with that that reply. I feel more than affirmed, and I appreciate you calling out male friendships because those were, and I hope that comes across. I mean, those were the relationships that, you know, that saved me. In my uh, that line about, my buddy watched me walk into a room, in love in Minnesota and walk out single file in Texas is quite literal. I mean, we were on a Zoom call when, Max had her first crisis. And he saw it happen live real time. So, like my homeboys were my brothers, not homeboys, my brothers were they were instrumental to so much of this process. So thank you for calling that out. And also, yeah, thank you for calling out uh the techniques. I am admittedly insecure about my lack of kind of education in writing. Like I have a communication studies degree, like I have a master's in studies, but creative writing, I'm just kind of throwing it at the wall, see what sticks. Um, so I appreciate, that even with the kind of little academic background I have, that, it still works and comes through. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. And I see it's kid got the hookah out. Got the hookah. I'm mad at you.
I need a cigarette, but I don't smoke. So this is all I got. Um, no, I just wanted to comment on what you just said about like not having like formal education in writing. And I want you to, I mean, yeah, like I always toy with the idea. Like I think I've shared that I'm a MFA dropout myself, and I'm also always like thinking about going back, but it's not need this you don't need you don't need it. And you think about like Langston Hughes and like Zora and like all those folks, like they didn't have formal education in writing, in creative writing. And It doesn't matter. I mean, it's a natural. I think that all Black people are actually natural storytellers, and we're natural because that is, ancestrally, we are a storytelling people. And so, and then by virtue of just our experience in America, we have so many stories to tell, and our experience is so rich. And so it has we don't maybe they might need to go to school to learn how to write, but I don't think we need to. And so I definitely don't think that you need to. And I mean, I just wanted to comment on that. But also now I have my favorite poem now from the piece. And so I just can't wait to have this in my hands. I can't wait for it to be signed, and I can't wait for other people to read it. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you, and thank you for affirming that. Like as I'm going through, I'm like looking at the grammatical errors, and looking like the inconsistencies and like the lack of, and it's affecting me. Like as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh my
But
God, this,
that's what
but
editors are for. That's what the
yeah, yeah,
editors are for. They
exactly,
get paid to do
exactly.
that.
Yeah, so thank you for affirming that. Appreciate that.
Hi, I'm gonna jump in real quick. Uh, I was really having a lot of auntie moments over here as I was listening. Just like, pass it down. Ugh, yeah, that's my favorite. That one really it hit a place. It struck a chord, and it felt very timeless. My question is, what's your relationship to music in your life? And how does that mold your writing?
I mean, it's one of the, if not most important components of me, to be honest. Like one of my earliest memories is Anita Baker's Caught Up in the Rapture and Dave Brubeck's Take Five, just sitting in the back seat of my mom's car. Like my second most formative memory is my dad playing Keep Your Head Up and a Bob Marley track, Redemption, not Redemption song. Um, a Bob Marley track, the name I can't recall, but those are
No,
like my most formative memories. What was that?
no woman, no cry.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. And then, growing up in Maryland, like go-go is everything. So Rare Essence and that's so I'm not me without music. And I find it just comes up when I write just organically. The fact like I'm trying to find space for it, one of the most exciting parts of the process for me is thinking about, when I write the citations, and I'm able to like introduce all of the things that inspired it, artists that people don't know that should know, like Terry Huff and the Special Delivery, which Sweet Terry is, for. And just I mean, music is so instrumental to, I mean, as the key was saying, I mean, yeah, storytelling is instrumental, and music is, I mean, we as as a people, like we are the music that we make, from gospels to the blues to slaves. We are that. So it can't not show up. But I think if you're writing honestly, it's going to show up because you know, so much of Black literature is rhythmic, even if people don't realize it. So if you're writing honestly as a Black writer, it will be rhythmic because that's what we are. And I do truly believe that. It's just gonna happen. Even if that's not your intention. I mean, there's academic work. I think Christina Sharp's work is it's lyrical, it's rhythmic. Yeah, I don't particularly think that's her intention, but it's just kind of what we are. But the music is instrumental. Like yeah, I'm nothing, not a writer, not me without it. Like it is quite literally um it's the puzzle pieces of me, so to speak.
Thank you.
I just want to say congratulations. First for completion. Second for taking the step to do this. And third, for the healing. All right. Um, there are so many of us who go through chapters in our lives that damage us, right? Really damage our insides. And we just kind of live with it. And so I know that, parts of this were cathartic for you, but I also know the work going on away from the page. And so I just want to say, congratulations and thank you for allowing us to participate in this moment with you. So we know all the great things are coming, right? We know there's going to be publications and signings. We know all that's coming because we witnessed it today, right? And so, proud of you. I'm honored to say, hey, I know this guy, and it's funny when certain pieces start. I'm like, oh, I remember that prompt, And so, thank you for allowing us to be part of the process. Really sharing with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, you introduced the idea of us doing a writing workshop together. And I mean, without that text, wouldn't be here. So thank you, yeah, no, I feel the love, I appreciate the affirmation and the you already kind of signing it into existence, was to come of this work. Because I mean, to be honest, like I'm ready to move on from the work. There, I feel like I'm in a new place. There are new poems I want to write. There are stories I want to tell that don't involve this, so to speak. So I'm ready to move on, and this felt like an exorcism in some respects. Um, but that being said, it's still very much so with me, and so this work is yeah, this is special to me, and I thank you all for witnessing me, witness me. Uh, so, um, I've reached the 2.5 hours. I thought this one hit four, just based on what we do on Saturdays. But I think this is a good time. I think some final, yes, Takia.
I'm sorry. I just want to say one last thing. So I just made the comment that, we don't need school, but we need each other. Like I feel like this, I think that this work and this space and, even speaking to Weekend Words, speaks to the community, like having a writing community and how important that is for us as creatives. You mentioned even like working with Uba and the Brother to Brother workshop and the Weekend Words workshop, and even this space, even having the opportunity to share your work, in communion with us. I think that's what we need as Black writers and Black creatives is we need each other and we need community. And so I just want to thank you and thank you, Alatif, as well. For like I think this book of this body of work and is I guess evidence of what happens when we work to when we write together and when we have these spaces together.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thank you for becoming a part of becoming what will be a pivotal, tangible part of Weekend Words. It's kind of our third official. You know, we don't have like a leadership thing, it's no hierarchical thing, but like I guess yeah, you're now an official member of Weekend Words, and so thank you for even offering to help us facilitate so much of what we want to do with Weekend Words.